Okay, I'm back.
All right, let's settle in. I'm dialing in from the home studio today. A bit more quiet than the usual chaos, but I've got the good headphones on.
And I am leaning in. I've got my tea, and I am ready to get into the grit of this.
Good, because we are moving from the abstract Golden Age dreams into something much more visceral. We're looking at the formation of the man who would become Eliphas Levi.
Right, the architect. We've been talking about how he synthesized all these fragmented traditions, but now we're seeing the raw material, the trauma, the actual heavy 19th century reality.
Look at how the author starts this section. He quotes Levi describing a vision of a new Eden, where humanity feels the refreshing breath of love under the wings of a dove. It's almost saccharine.
Almost. But then boom, it pivots. He immediately brings up the reality of the church. He talks about the shameful removal of Abbot Colonna through dirty intrigues.
This is crucial. Remember what we said earlier about the instability of the old order? This is it. Levi is seeing the machinery of the church fail. He says he began to wonder if the priests even believed in God. He was horrified by what religion had become.
It's so heavy. He's watching the people he admires get pushed out by politics. It's a structural crisis as much as a spiritual one.
And then there's Saint Sulpice. Oh, man. The way the author describes the seminary, it sounds less like a place of worship and even more like a surveillance state.
A place where they slowly but surely learn ignorance. That is a brutal indictment. He describes the priests as having greasy hair, dirty hands, and thieving eyes.
It's a total 180 from the divine imagery. He's describing a culture of total mutual distrust. Students reporting on each other to the directors. The author says even friendship didn't exist there.
That's terrifying. Imagine being a young, passionate person, and your entire social world is designed to break your spirit through suspicion.
Wait, can you hear that?
Yeah, it's buzzing like a hornet. Is that your connection?
Hold on. Is that better?
Much better. My heart jumped. I thought a demon had entered the stream.
No demons, just a loose cable. Sorry about that. Anyway, despite this toxicity, Levi are constant, as he was known then decides to stay. He says his soul is crushed by grief, but he refused to leave the religion that had widowed and devastated him.
He's doubling down. It's that classic martyr complex. But then something shifts. He starts studying Hebrew.
Right. By 18, he's reading Hebrew originals. That's the software update for his brain. It's the beginning of that spiritual algorithm we're talking about. He's moving from Latin liturgy to the ancient hidden grammar.
But then, the human element hits. The author brings us to the classroom.
He's teaching catechism to young girls, feeling like an angel of God, and then a woman shows up with a daughter, Adele Allenbach.
And this is the moment the whole system crashes. He says he didn't love her like a man loves a woman. She was almost a child. But through her, he felt an irresistible need to love.
And he realizes his entire religious devotion was actually just a placeholder for a human need for affection. He says he couldn't accept his vows before an altar of a cold and selfish cult.
He literally walks away from the priesthood at the exact moment he was about to reach the highest rank. He chooses the human connection over the institutional structure.
It's a contradiction to his earlier claim about seeking the active and intelligent cause. He finds the cause in a person, not a dogma.
It's the death of the priest and the very birth of the magician. He had to lose the church to find the magic.
It's a heavy transition, isn't it? We go from the romanticized New Eden to this. The author describes his exit from the seminary not as a liberation, but as a direct collision with terrifying problems of secular life.
And it hits him immediately. His career change is a total collapse of his support system. He writes to a friend that he just wants to hide in a monastery to avoid a degrading and wretched existence as an apostate.
But the world doesn't let him hide. He loses his mother. The author is very specific here. It wasn't just a natural death. It was suicide. She had pinned all her hopes on him, and seeing him leave the church, it broke her.
That is so bleak. No wonder he says, "It seemed at that time that even faith and hope had left me." He's 26, penniless, and mourning a suicide.
And look at the physical description the author pulls from a contemporary portrait. He describes this young man with cold, impassive eyes and clenched lips. It's like the trauma is physically etched into his face.
But wait, there's a tiny glimmer of the old him. The author mentions a slight desire to even appear a dandy, with neat whiskers and a confident head position. He's trying to perform a version of himself that isn't broken.
Yeah, a bit of 19th century fake it till you make it, but the struggle to eat is real. He ends up teaching at a boarding school, and get this, the headmasters hated him just as much as the children loved him.
Honestly, that sounds like a classic middle management struggle. But then he finds a lifeline. This traveling actor, Aristide Baloul, pulls him into the world of the stage. He actually becomes an actor.
It's a fascinating pivot. The man trained for the altar is now performing for the masses, and that brings him to the most influential woman of his era, Flora Tristan.
Oh, Flora, the author brings in this incredible perspective from her grandson, the painter Gauguin. He calls her an amazing woman, a socialist and anarchist. She was a force of nature.
And she brings the modern into his life. Through her, he's introduced to radical politics. He moves from the rigid dogma of the seminary to the socialist worldview of women like Tristan.
But the chaos doesn't stop. Remember how we talked about the social instability of the time? Look at this character, Gano, the man who called himself Mappa.
This is wild. The author describes this encounter in a repulsive-looking little room. This man, Mappa, is wearing a tattered woman's cloak, surrounded by frenzied followers, acting like a prophet. He actually claims he's King Louis XVII returned to Earth, and that his partner is Marie Antoinette.
No way! He's literally hallucinating an entire royal resurrection.
And the most important part? Even though Constant our future, Levi calls him a magnificent fool, he admits that Mappa's rhetoric conquered their fantasies. They were young, they were radical, and they wanted to seal the abyss of anarchy.
It's like a contagion of madness. This is exactly what we were saying about the era the boundaries between political rebellion and mystical mania were totally blurred.
Exactly, and this contagion leads him straight to a courtroom. He publishes the Bible of Liberty. It's deemed subversive, and suddenly, the architect is in a prison cell in Sainte-Pélagie.
So, the man who was trying to find his way back to the church ends up in a dungeon because of a political book.
But even in the darkness of the cell, there's a spark. He's reading. He picks up the works of Swedenborg. He says that while it seemed unintelligible and strange at first, once he dove into the system, he found infinite wisdom.
It's poetic, in a dark way. The prison walls couldn't stop the software update we talked about. The logic of the machine was already starting to take hold.
But the church isn't done with him. They force him to change his name to Abbé Baucourt just to avoid the scandal of his past. They try to scrub Constant from the record.
They tried to rename the soul to save the institution, but you can't hide a person like that. The scandal follows him, the newspapers expose him, and the cycle of persecution just continues.
It's a cycle of brokenness and reconstruction. He's losing his name, his family, and his status, but he's gaining the very ingredients that will eventually allow him to build a whole new universe of magic. Alright, we're back. I've been staring at this next stretch of the text, and honestly, it's like watching a person try to build a house while the ground is literally liquefying under them.
It is. I mean, we just finished the dungeon phase, and now he's out, but he's even more scattered?
Exactly. He's officially out of the seminary, but the author shows this Bishop of Évry, who actually liked him, tried to help. He gave him a room. He offered him the priesthood again, a literal safety net.
And he said no, again.
Yeah, he says the priesthood was a heavy burden he wasn't ready to bear. But then, look at the irony here. He writes this deeply pious book, The Mother of God, and the very bishop who helped him bans it from his bookstore.
Oh, classic. I'll give you a room to sleep in, but don't you dare write anything I don't like.
Right? But even then, Constant doesn't hold a grudge. He calls the bishop a man of spirit and common sense. He's still trying to find a middle ground between the sacred and the profane.
But the profane is where things get really messy. I mean, look at the timeline. He's working with Flora Tristan, the revolutionary we talked about, and she leaves him this massive pile of notes to organize.
And then she just disappears. She goes to Lyon, stops answering his letters, and then the news comes. She's dead.
That must have been a massive blow. To be left with her thoughts, her testament, and no person to guide you.
It pushed him deeper into the political trenches. He publishes her work, The Emancipation of Woman, and suddenly he's a voice for the marginalized. But the author pulls this incredible detail from his 1844 period. He's working as a tutor for this woman, Madame Legrand.
And this is where the breaking of the vows happens again, right?
It's almost theatrical. He says he didn't break his church vows, the church broke them for him. He claims they abandoned him when he had no support left. He's basically saying, I stayed loyal to the mission, but you failed the man.
It's such a defensive way to frame it. I didn't leave you. You pushed me out.
But then, oh man, the personal life. This is where it gets, well, it's a lot. He's living this life of extremes. One moment, he's writing pacifist manifestos. The next, he's throwing these massive, expensive champagne parties for journalists and radicals.
The spiritual algorithm is definitely getting some glitches here. He's broke, but he's hosting parties.
He is. He's literally spending money he doesn't have. And the guest list is a fever dream. You've got his old friends, you've got the radical pamphleteers, and then there she is again. Adele Allenbach, the girl who first woke up his heart.
She's there, seeing him as a father figure, while he's essentially spiraling through this lifestyle of excess.
And then there's the real scandal. The author moves us to 1845. He's staying with this woman, Eugenie, who is the deputy director of a school. They become lovers.
And she gets pregnant.
She does. She has a son. And the most heartbreaking part, the child never even meets his father.
This is just a trail of broken connections. It's like he's incapable of stability.
But wait, it gets even more chaotic. Because while he's with Eugenie, he becomes infatuated with her 17-year-old student, Noemi Cadio.
17?
He's basically under a spell. He moves her into his lodgings. And the drama is peak 19th century. Noemi's father threatens to have him arrested for corrupting a minor unless he marries her.
And let me guess, he agrees?
He marries her in July 1846, but they're penniless. The author says on their wedding day they had nothing to eat but a few potatoes they bought and fried at home.
That is so incredibly bleak. This man who is surrounded by all this high-level political and mystical theory is literally starving with his new wife.
It's an ascetic reality, even if it's not by choice. But even in this poverty, the words keep flowing. He's publishing like a madman religious tracts, political papers, even collections of songs. He's trying to write his way out of the chaos.
It's like he's trying to use language to create a structure that his actual life completely lacks.
Exactly. And then we hit 1848, the year of the revolution. The streets of Paris are literally running with blood, 10,000 dead, according to the text. And he finds himself right back in the middle of it, using the same mass hysteria tactics we saw with Mappa.
He's looking for a pattern in the chaos. He sees the revolution not just as a particular political event, but as a spiritual one.
Precisely. Look at what he writes in the Testament of Liberty. He says we are entering the fourth stage of revolution. First comes images, then passions, then reflection, and finally, love. He claims that the entire purpose of all this political anarchy, all this social upheaval, is actually to clear the ground for the kingdom of the Holy Spirit to arrive on earth.
He's rebranding revolution as a divine ritual. He's saying the chaos of the streets is actually the clearing of the forest to make way for a new Eden.
That is the architect at work. He's taking the literal fire and blood of 1848 and coding it into a religious prophecy. He's turning a riot into a liturgy.
He's a cosmic spin doctor.
He really is. But the chapter ends on this strange, quiet note. He's living this life sometimes as a monk, sometimes as a radical, sometimes a husband, sometimes a father. But he's always searching, and the author hints that the real initiation is coming. A man named Hohen Bronsky is about to enter the frame.
The software update is finally arriving. The engineer is about to meet his instructor. I think we need to take a breather before our brains completely melt from all this 19th century drama.
Agreed, especially since the delivery driver just buzzed the door. The Vietnamese food is finally here.